Like, if you're looking at the rest of the year, what are you feeling? What are your predictions? Do we have another like COVID coming that we need to know about?
Unfortunately, you wouldn't know if it's coming based upon how things are being handled right now.
Hello, hello, Heal Squad. I am so excited, friends, because today we are joined by the world-renowned psychic medium, New York Times best-selling author, and my dear friend, John Edward. For over 3 decades, friends, he's been helping people find connection, closure, and clarity from the other side, and has really made some incredible breakthroughs. But today, we're going to be diving into more than just predictions. We're going to be talking about protecting our energy, practicing psychic self-defense and grief, and even unexpected celebrity readings like Sharon Stone's recent one with him. Plus, how his gift actually helped crack a major murder case, and in fact, many of them over a long period of time, which is all detailed in his brand new book, Chasing Evil. But first, our quote of the day, and it is from John himself. One does not deceive oneself about the consequences of one's acts. One deceives oneself about the ease with which one can live with those consequences. Woof! Let's get into this. I'm so excited to chat with you. I know you've got a new book out, you have your podcast, you have a lot happening,
Yeah,
and we
busy.
haven't really connected in a while. So we text and all of that, but tell me kind of what's the latest in your world, the latest and exciting, without going too deep into the book because we're going to go into it.
So the latest for me is we've expanded the Evolve Plus platform and the Evolve Plus app, and now we have different verticals. So we have a vertical that is about ready to get launched called Move, because we want people to have the body, mind, spirit connection and pay attention, right? So as you have put such a focus on helping people to heal and evolve, I've kind of come at it from a different perspective, which is most people come to see me because they're grieving and they want to talk to their loved ones and friends. And oftentimes within a reading, I'm recognizing that their grief has now created secondary and tertiary issues, like they've now put on 20 pounds. They're now not feeling good. They're recognizing brain fog. They open the freezer and they're finding their wallet and wondering how it got in there. Right. So I'm trying to get people to evolve through all aspects of whatever the universe is creating as a lesson for them that they see as an obstacle and blockage. So evolveplusTV.com as the platform, I'm trying to make it that one-stop shop that people can have their profile, follow the creators on there that they like, and Move is a new platform. We just launched Grief Plus, and we have a channel called we have a vertical called Nourish. So we're trying to get people to nourish their body. So it's like skincare stuff, but we're talking about peptides. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening that's not psychic but adjacent.
That's so cool. I was just talking to a friend who lost her mom recently, and she was just super passionate about sharing some of the stuff that she had been experiencing. I mean, people were coming into her mom's house and taking things and saying, "Oh, you don't know what to do with this. I'll take it." And she's like, "Excuse me, this is my mom. Like, who the hell do you think you are?" But the crazy things that go on, and then it just compounds the
Yeah.
pain that you're going through, because really, people should just be holding space for you and saying, "I'm here. How can I be helpful? What can I do? Bring food, whatever." And you're grieving the loss of your mom or whoever it is that you're so close to, but then on top of it, people are misbehaving in the worst possible moment. And
So
so this is like very helpful. I imagine you're covering stuff like that that's going to help people.
we have two amazing grief specialists that are on the platform, Diane Gray and
Ah, love Diane. She's amazing. She helped me
Diane Gray.
so much with my mom, thanks to you.
And like the level of what she brings to the equation, right? You know where she's coming from. So when you have that level of life experience and it's blended with what you know how to do for other people, and then can help that person on that journey. And then we have a gentleman by the name of Brian D. Smith, who also has gone through some of the similar things that Diane has gone through and different, but they approach grief in a way as a lifestyle. So to how do we adjust and adapt our life when somebody is no longer with it. And when we talk about grief, when we talk about how it gets compounded, one of the things that I will always tell somebody that I'm connected to, or if it's a brand new client that I'm working with, I'll say, welcome to the idiot zone. And they look at me like, what do you mean? Because they think I mean like they're being the idiot. And I said, no, no, no. The idiot zone is where you've just lost a person and the people in your inner circle do not know what to say to you. So out of not knowing what to say, they will say things that are inappropriate. They will do things that are inappropriate. They will make statements in attempts to help you feel better
Mhm.
that are going to make you want to like punch them. So I was like, just give it a minute. And usually within the first 2 weeks to a month, I'll get that response back where the person's like, oh my God, you were just not joking. And then that like there are certain themes that kind of happen with grief that we have to kind of give ourselves sacred space in grief. And there's the first year where that first year is you kind of coast through everything. But I'm always preparing people for the second year because the second year, life goes back on, it's things are happening, you got to do the things that are happening. Um, but the people that supported you in that first year kind of go back to their lives. And now you're left to deal with, your grief and then the absence of the people who supported it with the addition of the physical person not here. And then you start to feel like, wait, I feel worse this year. I've already done the first birthday's anniversary,
Mm.
it's Father's Days, but I feel worse in the second year. So I try to get people to pay attention to that second year and say, no, there's nothing wrong with you. Just honor what it is that you're feeling and create that sacred space. Give yourself that grace. Or if you have that person who's going through that second year, reach out for them and say, hey, tell me about your husband. Like, give me something positive. Like, what are you missing about him? What's the thing that used to annoy you that now you miss? Like, get the person talking because they don't want to be a burden to have to say this is what I'm feeling because we've done this for a year and I'm now feeling worse. So it's not an easy journey. And then you got the 5 year mark and the 10 year mark and how it morphs and shifts and changes.
Yeah. So, I mean, how have you helped people through their grief? I mean, I know a lot of people come to you to connect with people on the other side. Has that showed to be helpful to people? I know it was helpful to me when I lost my mom. It kind of helped me feel like, okay, I can now go to this next stage in life, which is like we're gonna move on with life.
I think I want to give people tools that they could use at their own pace. So I feel like my entire career, which this year is 40 years of doing this, but my entire career has been about where am I at, right? So like the first part of my journey was discovery. Like I was that seeker, I was exploring the world of metaphysics, I was discovering the potential of what I can do. And that was reflected in the clients that came to me. And then I think I went into my building bridges era, my building bridges to the spirit world. And then I was in the crossing over era where I was now really, really public internationally doing this. And now I feel like I'm in my evolve journey, right? Where evolve is a command, not a title. And I feel like the universe is asking all of us to evolve. And then we look at where we are globally as a planet, right? Because everybody says, oh, I'm a New Yorker, oh, I'm a Californian, or I'm a Floridian. No, you're a human. And as a human, we're having a shared experience. So people don't always like to think outside of the immediacy of who we are. And we have to look outside the immediacy because we're going to interact with other people and their energy can affect us. So we have to now protect our energy from the other people that are connected to us. And it's very simple to say, oh, we have alarms on the car, we have alarms on our house, right? We protect ourselves security wise. We make sure we have double, authentication on our bank accounts and our email accounts. What about your energy? Like, how do you protect your energy, right? You got to protect your energy from the people that are sometimes the closest to you.
Yeah, how do we protect our energy, John?
I'm a big proponent of people doing what's called psychic self-defense, which is to create healthy boundaries, to make sure that you use your words. We teach kids to use their words, like use your words, don't just react, you find your words. Well, as adults, we need to find our words. And I think that we have,
I've never actually heard that.
yeah, yeah, we need to
Your
find,
words.
use your words. So one of the things that I'm kind of known for is as a Libras are known to be very direct and blunt at times. I'm very good at confrontation. So, like when somebody oversteps a boundary and they kind of think that they can say that, I'll call that out. Like, and that'll be anywhere. So like if I'm doing an event and I'm reading for someone, and I know that this person is there because they want me to read for them, and now I'm bringing through that person's person, and I'm not saying the things that they want me to say. I'm giving them the validations of what actually is coming through, which to me is my job. There'll be a little bit of a push pull. So once the reveal happens that it is the person they wanted to hear from, the information is factual, I will then go, now let's just unpack, why did it take us 10 minutes to get you to say, yes, that's my mom. Yes, that's my husband. Yes, that's my daughter. Because really what they have to do is confront their grief in the moment. But energetically, it's now taking time away from other people in a group setting. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating a boundary for the rest of the people. Don't do that. Like, don't do that. And if it's in my personal life, if somebody says something, I'll be like, you know what, this is kind of really bothering me. I need to address this. So when you said this, it makes me feel like this. So did you mean that? Because if you mean that, then I want to unpack that. And then I'm very good at like icing people out. Like I'm the person who's like, if this isn't working, we're done. And growing up in a, I'm half Italian, half Irish, but like growing up in a very Italian, big, my mom was one of 11 people, 11 siblings, big family. It's just not how everything is. You got to make sure you respect. You have to do this. You have to do that. So I grew up in this is what you do. This is how you have to do. You have to respect your elders. You have to do that. This one has to be invited. Your mom's not here anymore. So you have to be the representation of that. And I became that person that said, nope, I'm not doing that.
So, how does that work? Because if I iced everyone that was inappropriate, I'd have nobody. And I remember you actually, you were the one who told me a couple years ago, you have to get really comfortable being alone.
Yep.
And I feel like I get more alone every friggin' day. You couldn't be more accurate. But one of the things that I battle that I think a lot of the people in the Heal Squad probably battle is we're also taught to be empathetic.
Right.
And one of the things that astrologically that I do love about myself is I'm very fair. I'm very like fair. I see both sides. And that is not a popular thing because I really can see both sides
Right.
99% of the time. And so, even in recent situations, I can be extremely hurt by somebody, but I can also see what their makeup is that's making them act that way. And so I can have empathy to a degree where I'm like, okay, this is somebody who's so desperate to make it. I'm not there. So we're on very different pages. So they're willing to cut my throat and do anything they can, take from me, do whatever, just so that they can get ahead. I don't know. Maybe I had elements of that when I was first starting out. I don't know that I was like that. So I'm like, who knows? I can't go back in time and say, hey guys, did I ever do that to you? Or was I ever too aggressive or too excited that I, pushed somebody away? I have to have empathy to realize that maybe that could be true.
You can have empathy about what they're doing, and you can have empathy about how they're evolving in their own space, but you don't have to tolerate it in yours.
Mm,
You don't have to allow that energy to kind of navigate. So I always like to think about, we're in a kitchen and you're making your favorite Greek dish, right? And that person comes in and they don't really know anything because they're not Greek. They don't know what goes in. They don't know how it's supposed to be. And then they come into the kitchen and you give them a taste of whatever it is, and they say, "Oh my God, this needs cinnamon." And you're like, "Actually, it doesn't call for that. And this is a family generational recipe. So I'm so excited for you to actually taste this." And they walk over to your cabinet, they take out cinnamon and dump it in. That's the reaction that I see in energy.
wow.
So don't allow somebody to season your energy in a way that you've created the recipe for your life. So you
Mm.
want to make sure that you're like, no, 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 no. If you would like to add cinnamon to your dish, I'm totally down with that. But over here, no, we're going to do it like this. So you're creating a boundary where you're letting that person know it's not okay. And I think that sometimes when people are on a journey, and you've been on an amazing journey for the last decade, I mean, privately, we've had some great conversations.
Hmm.
Publicly, you're so vulnerable. And so you're so transparent and so like, hey, listen, I've done this so you don't have to. And like, I've done this. And because I've done this, I want to make sure you don't have to. You're open and creating. Well, that invites people to recognize your kindness as weakness
Oh, I
in
know.
some capacity, makes them think like, oh, she's such a healing spiritual being. You know, I'm just going to do this and it's going to be okay because she would say it's okay. And then in that moment, you have to be the person to be like, bitch, no. Like I might be spiritual and I might be nice, but I'm also here having a human experience with you. And I'm sorry if you're going to bring my vibration down to the level that I need to communicate with you on this level, then this is probably going to be the last time that we're going to communicate. You know, and I've had that. Like I've had people that I've had great professional relationship with, and then all of a sudden there's a lack of appreciation or there's a lack of understanding about what maybe I've brought into their world energetically. And an expectation of, well, I want more, or I should be doing this, or I'm not appreciated, or I'm not this. And I just, that's my cue. I'm like, oh, okay, we're good. We're done here. So, but that's come from a lot of years of having a lot of experiences where
Yeah.
you sit back and go, is it me? Like, is it me? I need to do some self-reflection because there's a long list of people here who
Yeah, I really try, John. I
I
do.
know.
Oh
I
my gosh.
know.
With therapy, I'm like, okay, so am I a narcissist? And she's like, the very reason you're asking that is why I know you're not. And I'm like,
Exactly. Because no narcissist would ask if they're a narcissist, right? No crazy person goes, am I crazy? So you have you just be crazy. So I think what you do is you recognize, and this is what I've done in just for years, right? You recognize that you shine it. We all should shine a big light and be as good a human as we possibly can and stand in that light, be in alignment with who we are, know why you're here, right? One of the reasons why the Evolve platform was important for me to do it is because I know that I'm only one little corner of teaching for a person. And I know that if I can get them to have their astrological chart done, that's going to give them a window into like what their actual lessons are.
a huge window.
Huge window, right? And then kind of like it's a diagnostic tool for understanding. Well, once you have that diagnosis, now there's an action that maybe you can work on, right? But that has nothing to do with me talking to grandma. So for me, I'm good with what I do, but I also know my limitations and know when
Mm,
it's time to send that person on to somebody else. And you know, maybe somebody needs to be working on meditation and mindfulness. And so I'm like, okay, so you need to be working coaching one-on-one with Melanie Whitney because she's going to be the person who's going to like break you down to the core wounds as a child and say, where is this coming from? I don't do that. I'll get an aspect of that in a reading and go, you need to work with this person. So
yeah.
one of the things we have to recognize in our lives is that if I was to try to be those people, I would now be doing a disservice to the people that are coming to me. So when you look at that on your own level, right, for the listeners listening to watching this, you have to think about I can't fix everybody. I can't rescue everybody. I can't save everybody, but I can maybe give them the tools. And then that's when people will be annoyed at you because they're going to be like, well, you've got this, you've got that, you did this, you did that, do it for me. It's like nobody can do it. I mean, at the most base level, when my mom was dying from cancer, I sat next to her and did every possible visualization trying to get her to stay here and be here. And I remember her like leaning over and touching me and said, I can't visualize that. I need you to do it for me. And I remember I was like exasperated and tired and drained and I wasn't sleeping. And I just went, I can't. I can't do it for you. Like, you need to do it. Like, and it was in that moment that I was like, wow, she's not going to stay because she's not doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to do it yourself. Um, One of the things I wrote down that I wanted to ask is when you're doing a reading for somebody, is there anything that would come up that you will never share with somebody? Is there anything off limits?
No, I know that what I do is interpretational. I know that what I'm getting, I have to be very, very clear. Now, I mean, there's certain things that I just see and I know what they are. But there are certain things I see and I'm like, I'm uncertain. So I think I have to, be confident enough to deliver the information, but also have the ego to recognize I could be wrong in my interpretation. So I take the client on that journey of what I'm seeing, here and feeling. But my hard, fast rule is I don't censor what comes through because I don't feel like it's my job to do that. I feel like it's their job to do that. So if there's something a
Mm,
client shouldn't know, then they're not going to tell me. And by the way, that has happened where I sit with somebody, I go through an entire reading, and then 2 days later, the person calls me and says, I'm just curious, did you not want me to get upset? Did you not want me to tell me? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, she's like, we had a great session, but like 3 days later, my husband died. She's like, and there was no like heads up about that. That's because there wasn't supposed to be a heads up about it. So
mm,
I used to go to the place of, oh my God, did I miss it? Did I miss something? Like, no, I'd really say everything. So like, there's nothing that
yeah.
I kind of thought. And if I don't know what something is, I'll kind of like hang out to the back of the reading and then at the end say like, this kept coming up. I don't know what this is, but I feel like, hey, just kind of write this down. So I'm a proponent for writing down the things that don't make sense because I want you to figure out later on, like, what did that mean? Or maybe how did I screw that up in some way? So no,
Yeah.
I say everything with an understanding of how I need to say it.
Got it. Um, we saw that you had Sharon Stone on your podcast
Love
recently.
Sharon. Love
Will
Sharon.
you explain to me, kind of the genesis of that and tell everyone what happened?
So Sharon is an amazing person. Sharon and I were having a conversation. I met her probably over 20 years ago. And always been in an orbit in a certain way. And there was a moment where I was potentially going to be doing like a new TV show, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do that. And she said, "Well, if you do it, I'll be your first guest." And I was like, "Oh, that's really really sweet," but she meant it. So
Hmm.
she's a person who means what she
Oh,
says.
yeah.
She means what she says. And then when I launched Finding Change, which is the podcast, I said, "Hey, I don't know if you would be interested, but would 30 seconds later, love to." I was like, okay, now you and I have been circling entertainment people for forever. Not always the norm, right?
Yeah.
It's like, in my world, I've had, and this is an actual true story, I had an A-list celebrity walk past me at American Airlines at LAX and look at me like, please don't talk to me. Like, please, I can't be seen talking to you. It was such a surreal experience.
Wow.
Yep. Not like, oh my God, hey, nice to see you. Where are you flying to? Oh, blah, blah, blah. But the risk of maybe being photographed next to the psychic, yeah, it was a very, very, very weird feeling. I was like, remember that next time my phone goes off and somebody's got a problem. Uh,
Yeah.
but I've had a lot of very, unique celebrity experiences. It's not my favorite thing to do. I've met some very nice people over the years and I'm always willing to help if I can. But yeah, she jumped in and I read her book and she is just a powerhouse. She's amazing. She's gifted and talented. In the middle of the podcast, she started reading me. Um,
Yeah. So tell me how that went. Does she have psychic abilities?
she is extremely intuitive. She is extremely, extremely intuitive. And I don't know if that was pre-stroke, post-stroke, if it was like the whole of her life has been like that. But she's very, very open. And I think the funniest part is we went to a studio in LA to record that. And it was a little barren. Studio set was a little barren. And she was like, nope, this isn't gonna do. And she got up and walked around the offices and started taking stuff from people in the office. She's like, I'm gonna bring this back. And she decorated the set. So when people watch this one episode, it's like really nicely decorated because it's just a set that I would go into to record in. And then like some of the other ones are kind of like normal. It's just like empty. It doesn't have that Sharon Stone touch. But she was amazing. And she was
Wow.
very forthcoming about finding change and how do we find change. And that for the podcast of aspect of what I'm doing is I'm seeking people that can share how they found change in their lives. Um, and she was amazing.
Wow. Did she have any predictions for you that were accurate?
It wasn't really predictions. Well, there was one kind of funny moment which started off camera. I like walked in and she just like looked at me and said, "Arthur." And I went, "Excuse me?" She goes, "Arthur. Who's Arthur? Arthur, Arthur." Like that. And I was like, "What about Arthur?" And she goes, I don't know, but you need to talk to Arthur. And what made me laugh is there was a TV executive who I was actually talking to, whose name is Arthur. So
Wow.
I really texted Arthur. I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but Sharon Stone said I needed to text you. I get back. What?
Wow. So it's funny because I think it was Shar Margolis. I was on her show once,
Yep.
and she had me and the other guest, I think it was Ross Matthews with me, us read her. And I had some interesting stuff that I don't know. I think I was like, there's something with elephants. She's like, I have elephants in my front hallway. Like, whatever. We had like this whole thing. But but I feel like we all have abilities, whether we tap into them or
Right.
not. Like, I'll tell you, I don't know what's going on in your life, but from minute one, I was like, he feels so different. He feels much happier. Like, you feel so much happier to me, like,
Oh,
so much, like, I don't know, I feel like a peace from you that like I've never really felt. Like, you know where you're supposed to be. Everything feels right. I don't know how to explain it, but there's something really different.
well, I will accept that. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm working on my health because I looked at my astrology. And when I looked at my astrology, I was like, I don't think I like that. So that meant that I was going to be forced to look at health and healing. And health and healing isn't just the physical. So I am on the daily thinking about my where am I at mentally? How's my mental health? How's my emotional health? How's my spiritual health? How's my physical health? And like, okay, what am I doing? Like, okay,
But
well,
all of that feels different to me.
yeah, it
Physically,
is.
I see it. I see it in your face, but I feel it all over. So
Well,
that makes sense.
let's go back to the Sharon Stone podcast. So when we filmed that, we took photos after the fact, and Olivia was with me. And for the people listening, Olivia's my daughter, and she took the photos. And then I looked at the photos, and I was like, "Do I look like this?" And Olivia said, "Yes." I was like, "No, no, no. Like, is this like a weird camera angle, or is this like lighting?" And she's like, "I don't know what the right answer here." She goes, "But that's how you look." I go, "So looking at me right now, my face looks like this." And she goes, yes. And I was like, oh, I need to lose weight. And she's like, no, you're fine. You're fine. And I was like, no. And that was the first moment. So
Yeah,
since then,
you look like you've lost weight, but like you just have like a vibrance and like a happiness and a peace. I don't know how else to explain it. It's so
well, I
cool.
will take that. And I'm happy. I'm happy that you're feeling that.
Yeah, it's really cool. Okay. So, let's talk about what's going on in our crazy world. Like, if you're looking at the rest of the year, what are you feeling? What are your predictions?
So, I don't really do those predictions, but for you, I always kind of give you like the overview, right? So, the last time we did this was a few years ago, and I said to you, we were going to be looking at the downfall of celebrity and that people were going to not be interested in the power brokers and where we're going to see takedowns of people in, I think, positions of um, not to pick on the Kardashians, but you understand that celebrity model, right? I love Kim, right? So like there's that whole kind of world of how people perceive celebrity. And I think that we're shifting from that and we're recognizing that people are going to be um, not really caring about that in the same way. I think we're going to see more of that, but we're also going to see micro communities. We're going to see people coming together in like little communities of pockets of communities that are going to help to reinforce their own values, whether positive or negative. I think we're going to see a lot more fractured energies, more so than we've already currently seen. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. So because I know that, and I know that from an energy standpoint, what we want to do is we want to put ourselves in a position of being the best version of ourselves. We have to choose where we're allowing information to come in from. So one of the things that I will end some of my events with is something called hard chat. Like I do the event's done, and then I go, before I let you guys go, I want to have the hard chat. And the hard chat is, have the difficult conversations with the people in your lives so that they know what it is that they want or you want. And I mean, like end of life stuff. Do you want this? Do you not want that? Make sure you have a living will, a healthcare proxy. Who's your medical directive? Like, that's a hard chat question. But the other part of hard chat is to get people to recognize that you may no longer be aligned with the people that you love in your life. You may no longer be aligned with the values that certain people have in your life. And that's really hard. And people are trying to do this delicate balancing act of, I love them, but I really don't like how they think this. I love them and they're my family and they're my best friends for 30 years, but they did this, and they went off in a religious cult, or they went off over here and they're now an atheist and I'm so devout. Or the political landscape can be as divisive as you possibly can. Or I always knew that this about healthcare or that about healthcare. And there's such a polarization when it comes to beliefs. As a Libra, it's hard for me to say this because Libras like to network, Libras like to kind of bring things together. But I think that we're going to wind up doing more and more of the separation. I found myself doing it. Like, there was somebody that I was connected to that I couldn't fathom that they would align themselves with a polarizing figure. And I just was like, oh, I like them. Okay, next. I'm not going to align myself with that because it goes against the core value of who I am and what I know. So I think we're going to see, unfortunately, shrinking kind of circles of people. And that's going to kind of create little other communities.
So, but back to what you said before, like you're not a New Yorker, you're a human having an experience.
Right.
If you're going to cut ties with somebody because they're in alignment with someone polarizing, isn't that the same thing? Because that's not who you are, technically. You're a human having an experience. Just,
Right. And I can have that experience and I can learn from that experience, but I don't need to go through it with them.
yeah.
So, like, for example, like, I'm the child of an alcoholic. I've lived that life. I have made it very clear that I'm not interested in being around people that are dealing with addiction. That doesn't mean that I'm mean to people who are dealing with addiction. I just remove myself from that. It's not a movie I want to be in. I've already done that. I've starred in
Mm,
that, right? I won an award for that movie. Like, I don't want to do that character again. I've already learned the lesson. I've already done third grade. I'm not interested in third grade again. So,
mm,
and I don't want to teach third grade, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be mean to third graders.
got it.
I'm not going to hang around the elementary school. So, and then I think that when you have very strong beliefs, and I am somebody who has very strong beliefs about, like, healthcare, I have very strong beliefs when it comes to helping people heal. My background is in healthcare. I am a few credits short of a master's degree in public health. So for me, that's a topic that I get triggered for because I know the data and I know the stats. And I don't like when I see information being disseminated in a negative way that's not allowing people to make choices. In the same way, I can flip that to, I've dedicated my life to mediumship and I've dedicated my life to teaching people about what's real and to try to get people to recognize that they can create this bridge. I don't like watching mediums perform. It makes me angry. Like, when there's a performative aspect to it, there doesn't need to be a performative aspect. If you're good at your job and you do what you do and you deliver information and it's accurate, then you're going to look good because you've been good at your job. Statistically, it's going to work for you. But if you're doing something and it's now performative and it's over the top and it's drawing attention to you as the person, now it's no longer about the subject matter and mediumship. It's about the individual who's doing it.
Yeah, let's leave this right here. By the way, any predictions in health that we need to know? Like, good kind of.
No, unfortunately not.
Do
I
we
wish I
have
could.
another like COVID coming that we need to know about?
Well, unfortunately, you wouldn't know if it's coming based upon how things are being handled right now.
Oh, awesome.
That's just a fact. That is just a fact.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I think I'd rather not know at this point, maybe. Maybe not. But okay. Friends, we will be back tomorrow, and we are going to be talking all about John's next book or his recent book. Sorry, let me find this exit out really quick so I can do this properly.
It is in the chat, Maria.
There we go. Okay. All right, Hill Squad, we're going to stop right here, but please make sure you guys come back tomorrow because we are going to get into John's brand new book, Chasing Evil. This one is incredible because it pulls back the curtain on how John's psychic ability helped crack one of the most baffling murder cases in the nation. And he didn't do it alone. Joining us will be his co-author, former FBI agent Robert Hilland, who was the one that at first wanted to oust John as a fraud, but then ended up teaming up with him to solve this chilling cold case. Trust me, you guys are not going to want to miss this. All right, friends, until next time, be nice people, make good choices, and be present. Hey, Heal Squad. We have been on quite the journey together, and we're hearing from so many of you just how much this show is helping you heal and get better, and it makes us feel so good. We love, love, love it, and we just ask that you don't keep it to yourself. Spread the message and share the show or your favorite episode with your friends. And if you want to help us even more, you can leave us a 5-star rating and a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and follow us on Instagram at Heal Squad. You can also DM us anytime because we love connecting with you. And finally, you can also join us on Patreon for our monthly live heal events with world-class healers and ad-free episodes exclusive only to Patreon and our Super Heal Squad for as little as $10 a month. So go to patreon.com/Heal Squad to join. Getting better isn't easy, friends, but as I say all the time, it's a whole lot easier if we can do it together. We love you all so much, and we love doing this thing called life with you.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or MariaMenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.